up? I'm back again. Eventually, I told you guys I'd be back. I'm sorry for the inconsistency. I was on a roll and then I just got super busy, and yeah, you know, time just gets away from you. But anyways, I'm back today for a video that I have been wanting to film for quite a while, and it's actually, I've been putting it off because I've been trying to make sure I give you guys all the right knowledge. And again, most of this video is going to be based on my personal experience and what worked for me. What works for me might not work for some of you guys, but I will just go ahead and just share my experiences. So without further ado, let me stop rambling and let's get into the video. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about my breastfeeding journey, how I've been successful in breastfeeding, and some pros and cons, and also my personal experience. So I'm gonna go ahead and, sorry if I'm looking down, but I'm gonna be on my phone. I wrote down some notes. So the first thing, we're gonna start off with the most asked questions regarding breastfeeding. The first one is, does it hurt? Breastfeeding, when done correctly, should not hurt. The first couple of weeks, of course, you are going to be a little sore. That's because you're not used to a little human constantly sucking on your breast all day long. So you are going to be a little sore, which is completely normal. It should not be painful. If it is hurting and it's just becoming so unbearable that you just don't want to do it anymore, something might be wrong with the latch, your baby's latch, because breastfeeding should not hurt. The whole nipple should be in the baby's mouth. It should not just be the tip of the nipple. That will definitely hurt. So you might want to check your baby's latch, and if you're just having a lot of trouble with that, follow up with a lactation consultant or even your child's pediatrician. They should be able to help with that. Second question is, when does my milk come in? So this is my second baby. With my first baby, my milk came in after the third day. It took about 3 days for my milk to come in. With this baby, my second baby, it came in about 2 days, in 2 days. So if you are planning on breastfeeding and you're just getting like a very tiny amount, don't be discouraged. It takes a while to establish milk, and in the beginning you don't need a lot because your baby's stomach is the size of about a pea. So what you're making, I promise you, is just enough for your baby. And if it feels like your baby's constantly hungry and hungry and hungry, again, it's not that you're not making enough. Keep feeding your baby, because the more you feed the baby, the more milk you're gonna make. So the next question is alcohol. Can you drink when you're breastfeeding? Yes, you can drink. Just because you are breastfeeding does not mean that you cannot drink. Now you can either pump and dump, which is just that. You, after you've had a drink or two or whatever, your next time you're due to pump, you just throw it away. You don't give it to your baby. They have the test strips, which you can dip into the milk, and it'll show you whether it's okay to give to your baby, whether it's not safe to give to your baby yet. Now, I've also read that it's actually not required for you to dump and pump and dump. You can actually just wait it out. So after you've had your last drink, wait like maybe, I don't know, 2 hours or so, and the alcohol level in your milk is the same as in your blood. So after a while, the alcohol level starts to decrease. What's the same with your milk? I personally have never felt safe or comfortable not pumping and dumping and just feeding my baby. It's just probably a mentality thing, but I feel most comfortable with pumping and then dumping it. After the last drink, when you're due to pump, dump it. The following time you're due to pump or to feed, you're okay to give it to your baby. Let's see, next is, can I get my baby sick if I'm sick? The answer is no. When you're sick, it's actually the best time to feed your baby, because your body creates antibodies and those pass on through your milk, and you're actually giving your baby those antibodies to fight that illness that you have. So no, if you're sick, I encourage you to breastfeed, because it's one of the best things about breastfeeding. And the last most frequently asked question is how to increase my milk supply. So basically just feed as much as you can, feed or pump as much as you can. And that's really it. I mean, mainly pumping or feeding and just eating adequately and eating the right kinds of foods. But the main thing I can tell you is just to keep pumping or keep breastfeeding, because breastfeeding is all about supply and demand. The more your baby needs, the more your body's gonna make. So that's basically how to increase or how to maintain your milk supply. Next, I'm gonna jump into the pros and the cons. Again, these are based on my personal experiences. It can be different for you or for the next person. So the pros, number one has to be, of course, a bond like no other. The bond you establish with your baby is incredible when you're breastfeeding. And I feel like, I don't want to say it's not the same if you don't breastfeed, because obviously you're still going to bond with your baby, but it's a different kind of bond, especially when they lock eyes with you and they're just eating away so peacefully, and you know that you're giving that to your baby, that you made that for your baby. It's just, I don't know, it's hard to put into words until you're actually in that position. But yeah, so number one for me definitely has to be that it's a bond like no other. I breastfed my first baby only for 2 months. I was very young. I just turned 20. My first baby, I had no idea what breastfeeding was. I didn't know how to store it. I didn't know how to care for the milk. So when it was time for me to go back to work, I had no idea how to store it or anything like that. So I just let it dry up and I supplemented him with, or I switched over to formula. Of course, he's still fine. And, you know, I'm not even gonna get into that. He turned out fine, you guys. He was formula fed mostly, and he only got 2 months of breast milk. But still, that's what I could do at the time. Now with Camilla, she is now 8 months, so we are 8 months strong into breastfeeding, and I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna try my very hardest, God willing, to get her to 12 months of breastfeeding and then switch her over to regular milk. So yeah, the second pro to breastfeeding for me is also a really important one, is immunity. Like I said, when you're sick, it's the best time to feed your baby, because your body starts to create antibodies before you even show symptoms that you're getting sick. So when your baby's been eating before you know you have like a cold, she's been fighting that. She's already been protected against that specific virus or illness or whatever. So yeah, your baby has a stronger immune system when they are breastfed, and that's all thanks to the antibodies that your body is making for your baby. And the last, not the last, this is just my like top 3, but the last pro I had to throw in here, it's free, you guys. It is free 99, which is like the best, because formula has definitely gone up. The last time around when I had a baby, I remember a can of formula was like 12 bucks, 12 or 13 bucks. That same kind of formula now is almost $30. That is ridiculous, you guys. And last time around, again, I was super young. Me and my husband, we were kids pretty much. We were kids having a kid. And we didn't have really good jobs. It was like part-time jobs. And we were on WIC, thank God, because I don't know how we would have made it, even with just it being 12, 13 bucks a can. Let alone now $30. Like, no thank you. If I got it, I will give this to my baby, because I am not about to be spending $30+ on a can of formula that's gonna last you like what, a week, 2 weeks maybe. I don't know, that's just me. And then the top 3 cons, and honestly to me this is like the only cons to breastfeeding. The first one is pumping. Pumping is a drag, you guys. I hate pumping. I hate it. There's nothing worse than wanting to sleep an extra 30 minutes, but I know I have to get up so I can pump before I go to work, or coming home from, like, I don't know, a night out with friends, and I'm extremely tired. I just want to come home and go to bed, but I can't because I have to pump. I hate pumping, but I seriously believe that if it wasn't for me pumping, I would not have the milk supply that I have now. But again, pumping is just a drag. It's time consuming. It's just not anything that, it's not enjoyable. It's not. The second con is that you get engorged. Now, engorgement usually is the worst in the beginning of breastfeeding. I don't get engorged now, actually not at all, unless I go like hours and hours without pumping, and usually that'll be like overnight. In the mornings I won't be super engorged, but you can definitely tell that I'm full and I need to pump. But it's not like in the very beginning where they were tender, they were huge, they were like rock hard, and it was just so uncomfortable. So yeah, engorgement would have to be my second con. And my third con would have to be cycle inconsistency. When you're breastfeeding, most women get an irregular period, or some of them don't even get a period. I still get a period, but it is very irregular. Like I would get a period, say today, and I'll bleed for like a whole day. And I know you guys, this is TMI, but we're all girls here. We all know what goes down there. So I'll get a period like today, I'll bleed for today, I'll spot tomorrow, and then I won't bleed for like 3 or 4 days. And then like the 5th day I'll bleed again, and then I won't bleed for like 2 weeks, and then I'll bleed again for like 3 more days. It's very inconsistent, very irregular, and that of course is a little frustrating, because if you want to make plans like to go out to the pool or whatever, you know, your plans are, you never know when, you know, you might get your period. So yeah, that's another con that I'm not too fond of, but you know, it is what it is. So yeah, those are my pros and my cons. Now, some tips that have helped me, and I feel like I owe me being successful in breastfeeding, I owe it to these tips. Is the first thing is, when you have your baby, like as soon as your baby is born, do skin to skin. I was so happy that my hospital had it's a policy, what they call the golden hour, and for 1 hour they give you your baby without them doing anything to the baby, except for cutting the cord. And if you want to leave the cord, they can do delayed cord clamping as well. But I didn't want my baby attached to anything, and I know I don't know, that's just my personal preference. We decided to cut the cord, but then they gave me the baby immediately. They placed her on my chest, and this is all with Camilla. With Damien, it was so different, guys. They did like the standard procedure, you know, took him away, bathed him, gave him back. But with Camilla, they gave her to me immediately, right after she was born, and they cut her cord. They put her on my chest, and I believe that helps with the baby getting to know your scent. And then they start rooting for your breast, like they'll start looking for your nipple. That instinct just kind of kicks in immediately. And that's a beautiful thing, you guys, when you see your little newborn baby who has no clue what anything in this world is except for your breast. Like they know they have to go in that direction to get fed. That's just the most beautiful thing ever to look at. So do skin to skin, guys. Even after the hospital, like when you guys come home, do as much skin to skin as possible. Let your baby get familiar with your scent and your touch, and they're gonna know where to go. They just have an instinct. So do as much skin to skin as possible. The next tip is to stay hydrated. Drink lots and lots of water. With my pregnancy with Camilla, again, my pregnancy with Damien and my pregnancy with Camilla were like night and day. With Damien, I ate junk food, I was not active, it was not, I mean, my pregnancy was healthy, and there was nothing wrong with the baby, nothing wrong with me, but I just didn't make the smartest choices. Again, I blame me just being so young and not knowing how to take care of myself and the baby as properly as I could while pregnant. So I would drink sodas when I was pregnant with Damien, I would drink juices and a bunch of sugary stuff. With Camilla, I did really well. I'm so proud of myself for that, because I drank nothing but water, and I would have my cup of coffee in the mornings. Occasionally, I would have like a soft drink if we went out to eat or something, or like a sweet tea. But for the most part, I did just water and my cup of coffee in the morning, guys. I tried to let go of coffee, but I just could not. I had to have my coffee. But yeah, stay hydrated, guys. Make sure that you stay hydrated. A lot of work for your body to make enough nutrition to support another life. So make sure you keep your body hydrated, guys. Drink lots of water. Try to avoid lots of sugary things, because they're just not as good as water. Water is just, you can't beat water. So yeah, stay hydrated. And then it goes hand in hand with staying hydrated. You want to make sure that you're eating frequently, but good food as well. Because I definitely noticed when I came home from the hospital, I had this hunger that I could not satisfied. Like I was hungry 24/7, and I'm like, okay, I already had the baby, why the hell am I eating so much? But you guys, like the first maybe 2 to 3 months, I just had this hunger that I could not control. And again, you have to make sure that you eat. Listen to your body. If your body's hungry, eat, but again, don't overindulge. And I've noticed that if I don't eat breakfast or if I skip a meal, my milk actually comes out pretty like thin and not very yellow or creamy. It comes out almost with the blue tint. It's very like, it looks like skim milk pretty much. And when I notice that when I eat, it comes out very yellow and creamy and not thick, but more, not as runny as the other kind of milk, if you get what I'm saying. So yeah, make sure that you're eating frequently. Make sure you eat a lot of healthy fats. You do salmon, you do avocado, you do nuts and things like that, because my pediatrician, my baby's pediatrician actually got on to me about that. She was asking me, are you eating? And I'm like, yeah, I'm eating. She's like, well, are you eating healthy fats? Because I had a concern about my milk looking so watery. And, you know, I'm like, well, hello, I need to be eating my, whatever I intake eventually is going to make it to my baby. So I need to make sure that I'm making mindful choices. My next one is obviously to nurse or pump frequently. If your baby is hungry, at the first sign of the baby being hungry, offer the breast. Offer the breast, or like I said, it's like a supply and demand kind of thing. The more your baby eats, the more your body is going to make, the more milk your body's going to make, because it's thinking, okay, you know, they're wanting more milk, so we got to keep making more milk. Now, this also goes with, you need to establish a pump schedule. This is what worked for me. So if I would, for the first 2 months, I didn't feed my baby with my breast. I was pumping, putting it in a bottle and giving it to her, because she just wasn't latching right. But honestly, it was the way I believe it was my fault. Obviously, a baby's gonna know what to do. I don't think I was trying hard enough to latch her on. So I was pumping it and giving it to her in a bottle. Now, for the first month, I was pumping every 2 hours. You guys know how exhausting that was. So I was pumping 12 times in one day. I had no life. I had to be at home. It was crazy. It was exhausting, you guys. I think that's why I'm so traumatized with pumping now. But again, me being consistent with it, pumping every 2 hours for the first month is what I believe helped me establish a good milk supply. And I have like milk galore in my aunt's fridge. Like, her freezer is full of milk. My freezer is full of milk. I have milk at my mom's house. I have milk at my mother-in-law's house. I just have milk all over the place. At my sitter's house. And again, I believe it's because I stuck to a very consistent pumping schedule. So for the first month, I pumped every 2 hours. Once I hit the 3rd month, I was pumping every 3 hours, and something in me just said, let me see if she'll latch on. But I had no hopes that she would, because I'm thinking she's been bottle fed, of course, exclusively breast milk. For 2 whole months, there's no way she's going to want to latch on. She's not going to know how to latch on. I'm not going to know what to do. I said, well, let me try it. I put her around my breast. She immediately latched on, and she knew exactly what to do. I was so happy, you guys. I could not believe it. Ever since then, when I'm with her, I latch her on. When we go out, I will pump and put it in a bottle. And of course, when I go to work, I pump and put it in a bottle, and she drinks from a bottle. But as long as I'm around her, she will be latched onto my breast. And yeah, so now that I am latching her on, say if I feed her, and she will latch on to my left breast for, I don't know, say 10-15 minutes. And once I'm done feeding her, I come and I pump to drain your breast, to drain my breast all the way. That's another thing, guys. To make sure that you don't have a high milk and foremilk imbalance, you want to make sure that you're draining your breast completely. So after baby eats, you're going to want to get the rest of that milk out, because chances are, if it's a very tiny baby, he or she is not going to take everything out. So after I feed her, I come and I pump until I see nothing else coming out. So that's what I've been doing since I've been latching her on. At work, I pump two to 3 times. Actually, it's been more like 2 times now. I pump about twice when I'm at work. I pump before bed, and I pump first thing in the morning. And then when I come home, like, I'll latch her on. And yeah, so that's pretty much my pumping schedule. And then the last tip that I have for you is to try to avoid stress. And I know this is so cliche and so hard to do, especially when you have kids, you know, and you know, things happen in life where sometimes you can't control your stress. And I completely understand that, because I've been in that situation where you're stressing and you know, there's so much that piles up on you sometimes that you don't know how to control it, and it's stressful. But you just have to take a deep breath and just take it day by day, whatever you're going through, and just think that you need to try to avoid the stress so that you can make the best milk that you can for your baby. And yeah, that is pretty much all that I have on my notes. If you guys can think of any other questions, let me know. And right after I'm done filming this, I'm going to be filming my what's in my pump / nursing bag, and that's going to go up after this video, probably sometime next week or maybe towards the weekend or something, I don't know. But yeah, you guys, that is it. If you guys have any other questions, if you guys have or just shoot me any ideas of what you want to talk about next, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to film this for you. And again, like I said, I'm not a medical expert on anything breastfeeding. This is just from my personal experience and what has worked for me. So yeah, that's it, you guys. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Shoot me down ideas of what you want to see next. And thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so that you can get notified when I post. And that is it, you guys. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.